Oh my gosh, my voice was about to go. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? I see everyone has already shared what they are going to read. Of course, as you all know, Blackoween Sprints. So we are working to get through our prompts for Blackoween. Let's see, what is everybody? Da, 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 da. Hello, happy Wednesday. You finished 4 places. Like, how many prompts for each place, Renee? Because the last time I talked to you about this, you were like, no, I haven't finished any place. So you've finished 4 places. So are you going to explain, like, have you gotten, you know, have you done like 5 or 6 prompts for 4 locations? Oh, thank you for joining, Chris. Even if you can't stay long. 6 prompts for 3 and 9 for the last. Renee, I just got an update today that I can ban someone for 24 hours. I think I'm going to kick you out for 24 hours. Overachiever. Overachiever. That's good, though. That's really, really good. I am happy to see that. What in the hockey sticks is, whoever had like 4 prompts and a lot. Got you. Root Magic, Delicious Monsters. Okay, well, Marissa, I've read Delicious Monsters, Eden's Everdark, and I'm currently in the middle of Root Magic, and all of them are great options. So to be honest, my friend, I'm finna tell you to do Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, because they're all great. I guess it depends on what type of, well, they're all kind of dark. All 3 of them are dark. So there's that. There's all hit the same prompts in the last one now. It's good. Do it to support it. She's killing it. Embarrassing us all. Right? Knock you out. Delicious Monsters, Delicious Monsters, Delicious Monsters. Yeah, Delicious Monsters is a very, very good book. It's one of my favorites of 2023. It's excellent. Eden's Everdark is good. I think you would like it. Do I have my copy near me? Yeah, I do. This is the cover of it, for anybody wondering. That is a cover of Eden's Everdark. It's so pretty and such a good book. Did it come out September last year? Yeah, it came out September last year. It was a very, very good read. I know, need their own. They do. They need their own section for Blackoween. Okay. Dawson is Blade. Yeah, it's good. Delicious Monsters. And she puts all the content warnings in the beginning so you know what you're diving into. But it was one of those stories that really kind of hit hard for me. Right. Okay. Well, it seems like we are all on one page. Y'all have already done the obligatory what is everyone reading? So I'm not going to make you do that again. I am currently reading Root Magic, which y'all, it's a little bit more it's a little bit darker than what I anticipated. It's good. I also have been reading, I don't know if this, it feels thrillery, horror-y. I don't know, but I've also been reading Their Vicious Games. I don't think it really counts for anything, but I'm definitely going to just switch over to reading Root Magic because I need to get that done. I need to finish Root Magic as well as Bitter Root, which is a reread for me. I'm rereading all 3 volumes of Bitter Root, and then I do want to start the Dark 30. I don't know if I will get to this tonight. That probably won't happen, but this week I do want to get to the Dark 30. So there's that. Um, it is very good. How far am I into it? I am 74% into it, so I really don't have that much left, but it's good. Not what I anticipated at all. First, when the king is dead. Oh yeah, definitely pick it up. Pick it up. It is it is such a good book. I probably will try to finish that one this week as well. If I can't believe today's already Wednesday. It was quick. It was quick. Um, but yeah, it's really, really good. I'm enjoying it. I still have like 200 pages of it left, but I'm reading it slowly, and trying to absorb all the information. But I probably will attempt to get my own copy of it before the year is over with. It's just an adult hardcover, and those are expensive, like $25 to $30 expensive. That's a whole tank of gas. And with this economy, I can't justify getting it right now, but I'm gonna see if I can make it happen. All right, y'all. We are gonna get to work tonight. As they say in church, I ain't finna try to hold y'all tonight. We gonna go ahead. We're gonna start off with a 45. Oh, Marissa, you would love the entire family. The Pinkney family is amazing. Um, Jerry Pinkney, of course, is his father, and his wife, Brian's wife, also writes. It's like a whole family type of situation going on there, and they're all amazing. So sad. I feel like Jerry Pinkney died a couple of years ago now, or maybe was it last year? No, it was a couple of years ago, I believe. 2021, he passed. Such an amazing illustrator. Was he the first Black person to receive the Caldecott? I do feel like Jerry Pinkney was the first Black person to receive the Caldecott. Um, and he received it for The Lion and the Mouse, if I'm not mistaken. I was reading this plus other books beyond that. That was me. That's me. That's always been me for taking gas from heat. Yeah, I feel sorry for some of y'all because gas is hecka high for some of y'all, higher than where I'm at, and I complain about it. So there's that. The books. When I had a book and it was like, no, you get these. I was a kid that was reading when I wasn't supposed to be reading, and there's that. Okay. Why am I not getting this together? I feel like I'm struggling with screen sharing today. Okay. There we go. It's still not how I want it. That's how I want it. There we go. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and start our first sprint. 45 minutes. I will see y'all in 45. If I start the timer, that's kind of need to do that. Happy reading, y'all. Hello. Goodness gracious, y'all, my voice. My neighbors are doing some wild shit right now. Over there screaming and hollering, and I just, have some decorum. How did everyone do? How are we doing? How are we feeling? How did we oh, Jesus be offense? Ouch. Yikes. Okay. How do we do? Okay. Okay. We have a little bit of things coming in. I am still reading Bitterroot, y'all. I'm surprised. I've read Bitterroot. This is my third go round for reading um at least volumes one and two of Bitterroot, and I must not have a good memory, or maybe I don't know. I think I said this in one of my vlogs. It's not the memory. It's that I feel like every time I pick up things like Bitterroot, I feel like I learn something new. I feel like I'm engaged in a different way, which is why when people ask me, like, why do you like to reread? This is why I like to reread, because I feel like there's always new um, material to pick up on, or new things to pick up on. So there's that. Oh, time goes by. If I could speak, time goes by so quickly. Um, yes. Okay, so we have some baked cookies. I know, I know. I don't, you know what? Hun, I really don't think I ever have gotten completely over whatever I've had. I don't, to be honest with you. It has not been fun, but there's that. Just yes, 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 yes. It is good, Marissa. Once again, DM me whenever you finish. I feel like Marissa gonna get sick of me, y'all, because every time Marissa's reading the book that I read, I'll be like, DM me when you finish. I just want to know what you think. My soul taker of death. Um, if I want to be and keep going and get. Oh, during the book club. Okay. Um, she's it, yes and no. We're we are going in a cycle, literally. She will feel better. I will get worse. I will get better. She will feel worse. I'm so over it, y'all. I like have been mentally exhausted from the illness. Both of us just not being ill, because if you are a parent or a caregiver, you know how difficult it is taking care of another human being that is sick. It is draining. Um, it is even more draining when you yourself are not 100%. And so there's so much. There's so much. Yeah, it's that season. It's, in daycare. It's a whole lot. It's a whole it's a whole lot. Ooh, I want a physical copy of that one too, y'all. Like, that was my first Lizelle book. And now I want to go back and read Blood Like Magic. And I know she has another one coming out next year, I believe. Um, let's see. My library doesn't have the audio for whatever. Oh, I can tell you why. Well, I can't tell you why because I don't know what you like, but I will say I'm not sure what it is, but I don't know who's setting the. Well, I know that's not Zell. But for some reason, I don't know who Lizelle is signed to. Um, her audiobooks are extremely expensive. So are Kaylin Barron's um expensive. We're talking in between, I think, anywhere $80 to $100 for a single copy. So that's probably why they do not have the audio. And the only reason why I ended up getting the audio, like I had to retroactively go back and get the audio for the Bloodlight Magic, the duology, once I had some funds loosen up in other areas because I really wanted to make sure that our patrons got access to it. But they are super expensive on the back end, y'all. Overdrive has them high. Like they're not, and it's a couple of authors that are like that where their audiobooks are extremely expensive. And so on the back end, when you're getting audiobooks, right, you publishers can either set it through two options. They either have the one copy, one user choice, um, or you have a metered access. So one copy, one choice, one copy, one user. I'm gonna say one choice. One copy, one user means that you have one person who can use the audiobook license and you own that copy, right? But let's say, you get a title that's extremely popular, you are going to have to end up buying multiple copies of that book, which can really, really stack up. And then metered access, they can do it where you own the license to the audiobook for 12 to 24 months, or they do it for 26 checkouts or 52 checkouts, like whichever one. It's usually 12, 24, and then it's 12, it's 12 months, 24 checkouts, or 24 months, 52 checkouts. I think those are the numbers. My numbers may be a little off. Although I just did an overdrive order this week. And I never can remember the exact um I can never remember the exact number um behind it. But those are even more tricky because if you have one that's metered access, after a year you have to repurchase the license, which some publishers set it for some audiobooks where you have the license for a year and then you have to rebuy copies. Or once it's been checked out multiple times, you have to go back and rebuy the license. And so it's wild because I think that sometimes we on the consumer side don't understand like why our libraries don't have certain copies of like certain books on audio, or why the wait could be so long on some copies because the prices on the back end in Overdrive, which is Libby on the consumer side, y'all, it's expensive because we're not always getting the license for forever. We have sometimes a limited amount of time that we have that license and we have to keep repurchasing it. And the prices of audiobooks and ebooks keep going up. And so it depends on what your library's budget looks like on the back end as to whether they will have multiple copies, whether they'll even get it to begin with. Um, a lot of people do not um a lot of people don't know this, which is fine. It's sorry. I was looking at something else and looking at your comment. It wasn't you. I promise. I was looking at something else and looking at your comment at the same time. Yeah, a lot of people do not realize that um a library's license for certain materials, whether it's ebook or e-audio, does expire on the back end. And that's why I don't know if y'all remember back in 2019, so right before lockdown with the pandemic, Macmillan actually placed an embargo on libraries. I've talked about this a little bit that like libraries had a very weird situation with Macmillan for a little while because Macmillan used Tor, which is a very small imprint. Um, we know it very well in the book community, especially if you read a lot of sci-fi fantasy. But in the grand scheme of things, when you think about the larger reading community outside of social media, Tor is a very small imprint. And so they used data from Tor to determine that libraries were actually causing them to lose money. And so what they did is they placed an embargo saying that libraries could only buy one copy of an audiobook and then after 6 months they could buy another copy. So imagine if James Patterson released a new book under Macmillan. Um, Imagine the amount of people you would have waiting for an audiobook that could not get access to that audiobook because Macmillan is placing you on an embargo and um, you know, you can't do anything about it. Kind of sucks. Um, what do you mean unlimited access? I'm not sure what you mean by unlimited access. Oh yeah, I have that one on hold. I'm excited to read it. Um, it was a hellscape, and they stopped, um, which is ironic, of course. They stopped as right as lockdown started. They stopped the embargo because they knew inevitably what was going to end up happening was that libraries were going to have to heavily rely on ebook and e-audio because most were shut down. So that's, where that thing happened. Yeah. So typically what at least I know for us, what we do is we will get one copy, right? Let's say it's a popular book, and so you have like a couple of options where, because sometimes you have an option where you could do one copy, one user, and then you could also do metered access. Let's say that, for example, Bloodlight Magic had those two options. We know that Bloodlight Magic is going to be a very, very popular book, right? So we may get one copy that's one copy, one user, which means we permanently hold the license to that, and then we get lots of other copies of Bloodlight Magic as metered access, meaning that once those metered access copies expire, we still only have that one copy, one user permanent license in the system. That way, when traction for that book starts to die down, we're not left with all of these copies of this book and no one's using them, if that makes sense. It's an interesting thing. It took me a while to kind of grasp what all that stuff looks like on the back end, but I always try to like tell people exactly what's happening on the back end because I think that sometimes in libraries and there's a lack of transparency of what's going on, and so people are confused or they don't understand like why their libraries making the decisions that they're making. Um, so yeah. So sometimes they have Overdrive has what is called 100 simultaneous checkouts at one time. So what it looks like is that there's an unlimited amount of copies in the background. Um, and it's not applicable for every situation. And so like Fourth Wing is a good example where Overdrive was running the 100 simultaneous copies at the same time. So it looked like the audiobook for Fourth Wing was available at all times. And really it's not. It's just a feature that Overdrive allows people to do. Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of, I think the highest numbers I've seen were on Spare and Fourth Wing. But it was cool because they did have that access point for Fourth Wing where you could have all of these copies at the same time. So nobody, at least for our system, nobody was really waiting for the book. But you have to understand too, we're buying a lot of those 100 simultaneous checkouts. So it's still a lot of money being spent, but it stops people from having to wait for copies of the book because for what I had to go and look because I went to I had Fourth Wing on audio and I was like, dang, I'm not going to be able to finish it. And then I went and I renewed it. It's like, how in the world was I able to renew it? And then I went on I'm petty. I went and I logged into my account and I said, oh, that's why I was able to renew because we had that simultaneous checkout things where it looked like the audiobook was always available. And it's not like really available, but it's the formatting on Overdrive that makes it look like it's steadily available. Um, yeah, so just an interesting little tidbit um, where people like get to learn a little bit is about what's happening with libraries on the back end, especially when it comes to e-content. I'm always big about kind of sharing whatever that information may or may not be, just so y'all have a better understanding of why your library may be doing um certain things or not. I mean, that's fair. I typically don't add to my physical library. A lot of what I add to my physical library, which is a blessing because I am able to work with publishers to acquire things. But a lot of my reading is done via the library, to be honest with you, because I just can't always justify spending money on a book and not knowing whether I'm going to like it or not. Especially if it's an author that I'm not like familiar with, you know? There's that. this book. It depend. It's not up to. I wish it was up to us on whether we can do that or not, and it's so contingent upon what Overdrive has worked out with publishers and how they want to sell their books. And the same thing, like people don't realize either that like when you're on Libby and Hoopla, those are two separate entities, and libraries do not curate their Hoopla collection. So sometimes you'll see stuff available via Hoopla, and you'll be like, okay, well, why did you select for this thing to be available via Hoopla? I got into an argument with someone via Facebook because they were complaining about a children's puberty book, and they're like, look what your libraries are trying to shove down your throats. And I was like, well, if you didn't know, like librarians do not curate Hoopla. We pay per circ for Hoopla. And Hoopla has certain agreements. I wish I had the paperwork. I can't believe I met with one of the vendors for Hoopla. This was last year. And he gave me this chart of like their their partnerships with different publishers. So there's certain publishers they can't get audiobooks from until like 6 months after release. Or they can get certain things on release, and the way that they handle ebooks and e-audio is completely different, which is why you'll see an audiobook come to Hoopla like it'll feel like forever after the book actually released. You're like, well, why are they just not getting the audiobook? It's because they have contractual agreements with publishers as well, which is why a lot of libraries will tell you if you check out books on Hoopla, try or check out books or audiobooks on Hoopla, try to read them because your library is paying per circ. So they're paying for a checkout even if you don't use it. And that's also why you'll find some libraries that have like 15 checkouts and some libraries that only have 3 checkouts, because financially you have to estimate based on your population, the number of card holders you have, and the number of checkouts. You have to do the math on how much it could potentially cost your budget. And so some libraries just know we can't afford, if everybody was use all of their Hoopla checkouts, can we or can we not afford that cost? So it's a lot of stuff that comes with all of that. Somebody asked me the question. Oh, what makes libraries sell books? And it said to get library copies when I push. Oh, usually it's a number of things. So we use the crew guidelines, if people didn't know, which is why I hate when people are like, oh, libraries are just throwing out books. Libraries are just throwing out books. And it's like, no, my friend, we're not just throwing out books. So um we do I've lost my train of thought because I was reading someone else. I hate when I do that. I'm reading. I think it depends on what contract you have with Hoopla. So we don't do that. There's no holds on some of the books it's all contractual. So it's based off of what you do. Um, it's based on the agreement that you have with Midwest, which is Midwest is the company that owns Hoopla. So we don't, when we use Hoopla, there's no holds whatsoever. It's an instant checkout. It's everybody is getting the access to the book at the same exact time. So there's that. But back to the question about the discarded books. We use a crew weeding guidelines, which you can Google. It's accessible to everyone. It's what I don't want to say every, most libraries do use. And usually it's stuff that's aged out. It is stuff that is damaged. It is stuff that just is no longer relevant to the collection. So that's why I always like when I watch booktube videos and I see some people's collection, I'm like, why do you have this book? That book is water damaged. Get rid of it. So stuff like that, like water damage, copies that you don't need anymore. So we can also establish relationships with people where um you can, like Better World Books, like you are recycling. So we have books that are completely damaged, that we just can't deal with, like it's just no good. And then others that will go off to places like Better World Books where they get sold to you secondhand, so that people are getting these books, but they're just no use to the library anymore. Um, so there's that. No, it's not. Libby is completely different. Libby and Overdrive are the same thing. That seems to be causing a lot. Um, They seem to be causing a lot of confusion for people. Libby and Overdrive are the same thing. Overdrive is what we as librarians now see on the back end. It used to be Overdrive across the board. Um, but they created Libby as a more user-friendly interface for the consumer. It's still Overdrive. So I get confused because I don't get confused, but I think I may cause some confusion because I'll say Overdrive, Overdrive, Libby, Libby. They're the same, it's the same organization. Libby is just a consumer interface. Overdrive is what we see on the back end as librarians. So there's that. Um, they're the same thing. It's the same company. It's just the interface. It's just the interface changing. It is the same company. Um, it is the same exact company. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. I do the same exact thing. Yeah, 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 yeah. Different, yeah. There's so many things that you can personalize with with those. Oh, I hope you're okay, Scarlett. Yes, Hoopla. Hoopla, Danielle. Hoopla is the one, and not every library pays for Hoopla. So, I say Hoopla, but I'm like, um, And the reason why you probably like it more, to be honest with you, is that we can actually control what you see on Libby. So what's so interesting, y'all, is that when you go on Libby, right? When you go to the homepage, like you're on your phone or your tablet or your device or whatever, right? And you're on Libby, that interface that you see is controlled by your team. The team at your library controls that. So all those shelves that you see where it's like, if they have recommendations celebrating certain holidays or, you got the new release stuff, some of the stuff Libby does curate on their own. But I know a lot of libraries like to personalize based on their community so that in terms of accessibility or searchability, things are easier to find. No, those are independent companies. We have nothing to do with Audible Script. That is out. That's not us. That has nothing to do with us. The major platforms that I see in terms of like book related stuff that libraries use is usually Hoopla, Libby. Um, some people still use Cloud 3M. We don't, but some libraries I think still use Cloud 3M, which is an ebook platform. But those are like the primary ones that I see like across the US. You can now. You can. You have to do you have a Kindle Fire? You may have to root your Kindle Fire. If you have a Kindle Fire. I have a Kindle Fire and I rooted it so that I can get the app um on my Fire, if that makes sense. It's not difficult. You're not doing any. What it does is that it allows you to download the Google Play Store on your Kindle. And then that allows you to download the Hoopla app. So like I have the Hoopla app on my tablet, Shonen Jump, um, I have Viz Media, I have the Marvel app, so all that stuff is on there. Another question: if there's something different, why would Hoopla have some books like Babel? Because your library didn't purchase it. Libby and Hoopla are not the same thing. Libby and Hoopla are not. I'm sorry if I confuse you. Libby and Hoopla are not the same thing. Overdrive and Libby are the same company. Libby and Hoopla are two different entities. Libby is specifically controlled by your collection development team, whatever library you're using, they determine what they're going to buy and what they're not going to buy. What's available on Hoopla is curated by Hoopla, and we have nothing to do with that. So it is possible that you would see something available in Hoopla that's not available on Libby because they're two different things. They're not the same thing. Yeah, you can't do it on a Paperwhite. Yeah, you can only do it on a Fire. But if you get a Fire and you root it, um, which is essentially like jailbreaking a phone, you will be able to get the Google Play Store and download Hoopla because that's the only way I can read my. I don't like reading my comics on my phone, so I essentially jailbroke my Kindle so I could download Hoopla so I can read it via my Kindle. If you can't, I mean, I had a 7 and I did it with a 7, but I feel like it slowed it down a little bit. I have an 8 right now, Scarlett, and it does well on the 8. I want a 10, but I can't justify the expense to get a 10 right now. One day I will. Um yeah, okay. I just want to say I think I may have confused you guys and I apologize. Oh, I may not be the one to ask, Marley. I'm not gonna lie to you because my means of curating is very how do I explain this? I work and specialize in curating, right? So the way that I will curating and weeding a collection, I would decimate someone's collection if you use my methods. Because there's just certain things now since I've been working in this specific place of the library that I just don't I don't stand for. Things like broken spine, water damage, any I don't collect anything like this, but if you do like health or science, and this is all crude guidelines. You do health or science books, after 10 years they need to go. Stuff like that. And that's me talking about taking away. So if you would, you know, if you want to talk about adding, I typically don't add anything to my collection that this is me now. This is not me in the past, but for the sake of space and a whole host of other things. If I cannot, and financially now, it just doesn't make sense. If it's not something that I haven't read, like if it's something that I haven't, if it's not something that I've read, or it's not from an author that I think very highly of, and even then I can get kind of yeah about it. I don't get it. A lot of my collection now comes from solicited and unsolicited um requests from publishers. And yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna do another sprint, y'all. I'm sorry. We just got caught up in the questions. I apologize. I apologize. We will. I actually have not done a good job this year of maintaining my collection. I need to weed my own collection for condition. Because where I was staying before I bought this house, I think a lot of the conditions in that apartment did not do my books justice. And some of them really, really need to go. Just and go in the sense that I would um donate them. Some of them are damaged where they just need to be recycled. You know, I have a rule of thumb whenever I am working with the library's collection is that if I would not put this in my own home, I would not send this to a patron's home either. I just don't think that you know, I just wouldn't do anything like that. But damage is definitely a huge thing. Is there a way of archiving through a personal collection? I just want to justify having a personal library instead of just buying books to buy books. That honestly, that good night. Um that's that's going to be up to you, to be honest with you. Um you're going to have to determine what is, I guess, appropriate for you to have in your collection and what is not appropriate for you to have in your collection. So, for example, for me, I'll give you some of my things that in terms of like curation for me. Um, I want my comic and graphic novel collection to be the largest part of my collection, because there's value in that. There's a lot of value in that, meaning that it's not just a purchase for purchase. It is truly collection, and knowing that it is something that I could pass on to my own child, that even if she didn't want to hold on to it, she could sell it for money. Um, in terms of like adult stuff, even YA stuff, like I'm not really, I have it, I own a good portion, but it's not something that I actively look to collect. And I don't buy just to buy, especially because it's stuff that I think um I can get from the library, you know? When I read a book that touches my soul emotionally, mentally, spiritually, that is a book that I feel like I need to have, because I feel like with those books there's constant lessons to be learned. Um whether a book is has rereadability, I don't even think is a word, but um rereadability is a huge thing for me as well. Um if I don't see myself rereading a book, it has to go. I can't justify holding on to it, to be honest with you. Um hello, hello, hello. Um so there's that. Yes, nerdy generational wealth. And yes to this question. Um I am. I can't, like, that's something that I can't consider right now, which is unfortunate. But like for major things, like I don't take certain things I just don't handle anymore. So like Stephanie Williams signed this, right? I don't know if y'all can tell, but Stephanie Williams signed that. And um it's a beautiful variant cover. It's a beautiful, this is something that literally the tape has never come off of, right? And that's as best as I can do right now, because I can't do temp control at the moment. But like stuff like that, like I will never take out the plastic, because I know that it's going to be, um, it's worth it. I had the same thing. My Stephen Graham Jones stuff is signed, um, that I just refuse to take out of the plastic. Like I just won't take out of the plastic. Um, I saw your comment was get rid of your science books. Yes, 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 yes. And I get it. I think too, when you have certain like passion for things and you're emotionally attached to things, it's kind of hard to get rid of them. Um, but for me, I think a lot, like for me logically, like in terms of space, in terms of like it just doesn't make sense for me to have all of that stuff in my collection. It just doesn't. But rereadability is a huge, huge, huge thing for me now. As I've gotten older, and as I've gotten over the phase of what it's like to be a part of this community and consumerism. I know we have this discussion all the time about consumerism and being part of the book community, but I must admit, as much as we come back to that discussion time and time again, I understand, like, as someone who enters a community, and if you watch a lot of, larger channels where people are in a more beneficial financial position, or they have relationships with publishers and stuff, watching those hauls kind of, it gives you the urge. It does, to want to buy, 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 buy. I think for me, because of being in the community for so long, it's even out. Also, my financial responsibilities may be different from a lot of people in the community. And as I always say, honey, I'm not going broke behind this community, and I ain't finna fuck up my credit behind this community either. It is what it is. And so for me, I have to be more wise about how I curate my collection. And if I'm buying something, it's because something I'm invested in. It's something that has rereadability. It's, an author whose work I'm very, very passionate about. Um, because you know, that's just me. Yes, it does. It does. I am not the person, and I'm not judging anybody, because how you spend your money is how you spend your money. But for me, realistically, buying $100 special edition of a book is just not financially responsible for me. It can be how you spend your money, what you do with your pockets is your business. But for me, being an adult and a parent, and being the sole income that comes into this household, it is not financially responsible for me to buy $100 edition or special edition of a book. Like it, no matter how pretty it is. And I sit there and I fawn over them just like the next person. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. I think they're beautiful, but I know that financially it just does not make sense for me. And so I just don't do it. So in my collection, you will not find a lot of special editions. The only time that you will find a special edition is if it's something that's been gifted to me or something that a publisher has given me. I don't go out of my way. Even for some of the more like beautiful, like graphic novel omnis, which it be hurting my feelings. I ain't gonna lie to you. Cause there's some graphic novel omnis out there that I'm like, oh my God. I really, but I can't. I can't do it. So mhm. Right? Because that's honestly like grocery money for the week. You know what I'm saying? That's like for some of us, 60, well, $60 ain't grocery money for me anymore at all. But like $100 for me is grocery money for a week. And so I can't think about the in my mind now because of just how life has played out for me. And like I said, if you can afford it, that's your money. How you spend your money is how you spend your money. But I know for me personally, I can't pick up my debit card and be like, "Oh shoot, like I want this book. I'm going to spend $100 on it." But I'm like, "Dang, groceries cost me $100 a week." I can't for me, I can't do it. And I know some people can. I'm also the type of person like I don't use credit cards anymore. I am paying off my credit card debt. And one of my things is that I do not use a credit card anymore. Um, and that's a personal choice for me. I can't do it, and that would not be the thing that I would use. But some people feel comfortable doing it, and that's okay. I just know for me, it's just not it. That's just not me. It is infectious. Consumerism is infectious, and it's dangerous sometimes because I think we get this mentality of wanting to keep it with the Joneses, and then you can put yourself into some dire financial situations by doing that. And it happens. And I mean, it's a lesson learned. I've put myself not behind the book community, but I've put myself through some financial issues and have had to learn my lesson about it, but not behind a special edition. Yeah, cheap is yeah, that too. Thrifting. Okay, I'm done talking. We're gonna sprint again, okay? Because y'all are not gonna get on here and talk about actually only sprinted one time. No, y'all are not gonna catch me slipping like that tonight. All right, y'all. Let's do another 45 and then we'll see how we feel when we come back. Um Here we go. They should teach financial literacy in schools more often than they do, to be honest. Happy reading, y'all. Okay, my darlings, how did we do this round? If I could, maybe I just close this out. That'll work. Yes? There we go. My poor phone is probably so sick of me. My phone been dying and turning back on and dying and ooh, child. Tell the first chapter. Can you find it? Ooh, I want to read that one. I have the audio. Supposed to read it a long time ago. Still haven't read it. Says a lot about me. Correct. We're reading Ring Shout. Still need to ring shout. Got a quarter done during sprints. Okay. Ooh, I'm glad that so many of y'all. I talk about this in a vlog that I have coming up next week. But I'm so happy that so many of y'all are enjoying the Dark 30. Because let me tell you, Virginia Hamilton, not Virginia Hamilton, goodness gracious, Patricia McKissick is such an OG when I think about like classic Black children's literature and not someone that you're hearing very often in the community in terms of like who she is like as an author and the role that she played in classic Black children's literature. And so it's always nice to see that that selection has people have enjoyed it. I really like that. That's good. 40%, 7%, the perfect ruin. Made dinner. Ooh. Jigsaw Man. 3% done with Lone Woman. Okay. Read 22 pages of The King's Dead. My eyes are dry. Oh. Gotcha. Yes. I'm so happy to hear that. Y'all just don't know. Like, that really genuinely makes my heart sing. Like, I am very happy about that. Because I also feel like not middle grade, but I feel like children's lit doesn't get enough play in our community. It booktube wise, I know it does a lot on Bookstagram. There's a lot of educators and caregivers and librarians that do a lot of great, awesome. Hey Shay, um, do a lot of great sharing of children's materials. But I know like we as a community just don't do it a lot here. As Pat would say, trying to stay hydrated. Water, 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 drink, drink, drink. Trying to stay hydrated. Unreliable narrative prompt. It's hard to know before. Ooh. Sarah, where is that prompt? I'm trying to think of where that is. If you go to, because I'm not gonna be able to think of anything off the top of my head. I'm too tired and it's too late. If you go to Bree's channel, Bree has a resource under her announcement video. There's a she has resources linked where there's recommendations for prompts. You should be able to find something under there. Yes, Jen Campbell does a lot. Sorry, Jen. I apologize. I love Jen. Jen does a lot of children's lit stuff too. Okay, or 26 page Miss Ultra Group Grit. I feel like I have that book. I'm gonna look up that cover. I'm sorry. I do. It's sitting on. I thought I was like, that sounds familiar. Sitting on my coffee table. Okay, makes sense. Center spleed. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, honestly, listen, we did 245s, which for me is a rarity. Y'all know that typically on a good day, you get one sprint out of me. Okay, like one sprint. That's about as good as it's gonna get. Today we got two. But I am exhausted, my friends. And as so many of you have been telling me to do, on videos, messages, etc., that I need to do a better job about looking after myself. And so it is getting late for me. I do have to be up early in the morning. I have a video coming out tomorrow that still I need to finish up. Um, about Scholastic. If y'all did not hear anything about Scholastic, you finna find out tomorrow. Because Scholastic pissed me the fuck off. Um, and I about had it. So if you didn't know anything about Scholastic, you're gonna find out tomorrow. So if you want more content, that will be up tomorrow. Yeah, the Scholastic video is fun. It's not long, but Scholastic is on some bullshit. And the fact that they're not taking that back. They're sticking with it. They're they're saying that the decision they made is true and they're sticking to their guns on the decision, which is bullshit in my opinion, but there's that. But either way, good night, y'all. I hope you all have a wonderful night. I sprint again um next week Wednesday on the 25th. Let me double check before we go, just so you know, because I'm finna get it wrong. I'm gonna get it wrong. And I don't want to get it wrong. Stick with me, stick with me, stick with me, stick with me. Keep sticking with me. Hold on. Okay. Tomorrow, sprints are on Ray's channel, Bookmark Chronicles at 1 p.m. EST. So if you are looking for sprints tomorrow, 1 p.m. EST on Ray's channel, Bookmark Chronicles, and I will, yes, I put in my date with the group. I'm waiting to hear feedback on whether that date is going to work for, because everybody's doing their own book group discussions. So I'm just waiting to hear some extra feedback on whether that date is going to work with everyone else's stuff. So hopefully, if you're in the area of Toulouse Parish where I'm at, which is Ruby's Crew, um, and you're reading the Dark 30, I would say hopefully try to have the book read within like the next week or so. But those dates should be released fairly soon. Okay. All right, y'all. Good night. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back next week. Remember, Ray, Bookmark Chronicles tomorrow for Sprints at 1 p.m. EST. Good night.